Hi. So this is our Facebook Live. My name is Kari Byron, and I wrote this book, Crash Test Girl. And we decided to do a live signing so that I can sign some books for you guys. And you can get your book at karibyronbook.com. Yeah, live. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. So I wrote this book. I'd like to give you a really deep story, but I kind of wrote it on a dare. I was sitting in a bar with a bunch of like a strange cast of characters, like Thomas Dolby, who wrote Blended with Science, and Homer Hickman, who he wrote Rocket Boys, which became October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
And just a very interesting cast of characters.
A motley crew.
Yes, we were all swapping stories, and they were like, "Oh my God, you should write a book." I was like, "No, I don't want to write a book. That's crazy. Why? That seems like a daunting, scary thing to do." And
here we are.
Yeah, Homer Hickman kept saying, "No, I'm gonna. My agent's gonna call you. You're gonna write a book," and he basically triple dog dared me to do it. I kept saying no. And then one day I was trying to explain to my daughter, she was really scared to do something. I was like, well, you know, bravery, it's not like what superheroes have. It's being scared to death and doing it anyway. And I went, oh man, now I gotta write a book.
Yeah.
I have to live up to the advice I'm giving my kid. So now we have this. This is Crash Test Girl, which is, this is brave because I feel like I have just taken all of my diaries and published them for you to read. Every mortifying moment of my youth, every behind-the-scenes moment I could think of, all put into one book.
Yeah. It is, and hi everyone.
Oh, that's Hillary, by the way. This, if you were wondering who this gorgeous redhead is, this is my editor. She is the one that helped me write this book.
We, essentially took all of the awesomeness that is Kari and put it into, a test tube of some kind, a beaker, and then also just added a bunch of crazy ingredients. And the result is this amazing book that not only did Kari write, but illustrated. Like, if you don't know that this woman is a extremely talented artist,
So now I'm blushing.
you're about to find out.
I'm blushing.
So yeah, we are here at the Harper One offices in San Francisco. We were so lucky to both be in San Francisco and able to work on the book together and meet up and chat and make
It's really
it happen.
fun doing this. This is, I mean, it's a memoir, so it felt almost like a therapy session, trying to remember all of these memories. But we also boiled it down to a life methodology, which is that I figured out early on Mythbusters that the scientific method could be applied to any decision I had to make. And I kind of have been doing it my whole life. It's just instead of the experiment portion of the scientific method, I replaced it with a crash test. Because I like to make grand life decisions very quickly and then just learn from the consequences, failures, or successes. And that's kind of how I've lived my life always, including, hey, just write a book. See how that goes. This will be the catalyst for the next portion of my career, or tank me completely. Either way, I'm down.
See what happens.
Yeah.
It's on sale in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, May 8th. But if you're here now, you can pre-order at karibyronbook.com.
Yep. And I'm signing them right now. I'm signing them for you right now.
Signing them. You guys have sent us questions that we're going to answer. Kari has not seen these questions.
Nope.
She has no idea what's going to come down the pipeline.
I dare you to ask me something I haven't been asked before. Something weird.
Yeah. So karibyronbook.com, I believe, is also where you can still submit questions. So write in, and we'll just
Have you done one of these before?
see what happens.
You ever interview anybody before?
I have not interviewed someone in this setting. I've never done a live signing. It's really cool. Kari is obviously going to be out and about and doing awesome events, but for, all of the people who can't necessarily make it in person, this is a really cool way to do a virtual book signing. So yeah, no, this is my first time. This is your first book.
This is my first book.
And
Start signing them, huh?
I like it. Yeah, we have this whole pile to get through and then some.
I can handle that.
Luckily, we have some things to keep us going.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I got
Cheers.
some motivation.
You did it.
There you go.
Congrats.
Celebratory.
Mm-hmm.
So what are these questions you have for me? So they've come in from...
They have come in from all over. Obviously, you have some very enthusiastic fans, and they're all over the map, I would say. Should we just
Shoot. What you got?
get it going?
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 1
Yeah.
from Kip in Portland, Oregon is, do you still make dioramas?
I make all sorts of weird arty things. Dioramas specifically, not as much. I make a lot of these weird little creepy sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of black powder art.
Explain what that is, because I didn't know what that was until I met you.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a thing I knew what it was. It's just when we were blowing stuff up, you know, the result was incredible, and I love looking at the high speed, but I loved the detritus that it left behind. Mm-hmm. And actually on the cover page, this is one of them right here, where I will contain some black powder. I will set it off with an electric match, and I will try to control the chaos of what will be the end by adding pipes or
Like manipulating the kind of...
the negative space that will happen, and the black powder explodes around it, and it leaves this beautiful black marking that it's almost like squiggles. But if I put down clay pictures, I can blow it up and then scrape off the clay, and what's left is a negative space, and then the black powder does this beautiful art that just it almost looks like planets. And so I know I've been doing it
and
for
each
years.
one is unique.
It's unique. It's chaos. I can't totally control it, but I try to control it. So it's a little nature.
We're
and
drawing
it's
some life metaphors here. Yes.
controlled chaos is what I like to think of it as.
Yeah. So, okay. So not necessarily dioramas. But a lot of different things. Can we explain some of the stuff that is in front of us here?
I mean, sure, there's like some science glass. These are some gas masks I collected while I was on the show because Mythbusters is a very strange show, and sometimes we needed some very strange things, and I loved going on these shopping trips because you have to go find for instance, okay, we did this myth running in the rain, whether it was better to run or walk, but in order to control this experiment, we needed suits that wouldn't absorb anything at the time, so we got rubber suits, and the only place to really find a good rubber suit, because they just don't make them for any other purposes, we'd have to go to Mr. S Leather, which was
oh yeah,
it was, you know, it's a
we're looking at you, SF Soma,
San Francisco store, and they also sell gas masks and really cool things.
Yeah.
So you know, I collected some of them along the way. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Fun shopping.
And weird shopping.
And you got to take some of the props.
I mean, I think those I personally bought.
Okay. Yeah.
Myself.
That's awesome.
I just thought gas masks were really cool. I put this one on last week, and I put it on Instagram, and somebody's like, "Oh, by the way, that's Russian, and there's probably asbestos in there." So,
ooh,
yeah,
yeah, you don't want to spend a lot of time inhaling.
At least now I know.
Yeah,
now I know. I didn't realize that one. Thank you, fans.
All right. Well, Susan in Marietta, Georgia, wanted to know, what has been your favorite experience interacting with kids who are fans?
So I've had little kids, and actually even women that have gone through college, come up and start crying and hug me and tell me how much it means to them that they saw a girl on TV.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel very humbled by that. I love it when little kids come hug you. It's just the sweetest, because you realize you're in the living room every single week or every day, and they feel very familiar with you. And even though that I've never met them before, they feel like I'm part of their family. Yeah. So it's been very sweet.
Well, and they got to see, you know, you as the only woman on this show and doing things that were, you know, we don't always get to see women blowing stuff up and, you know, getting dirty like that. So I feel like, you know, I can say you're a hero to a lot of women and younger girls and guys. But, you know, that must be cool.
Well, I mean, when we first started the show, it just felt like we were making these home movies.
Right.
I mean, they were awkward and they were weird, but like, you're friends with the cameraman and you're friends with this small skeleton crew, so they're just filming us doing what we do.
Right.
And it wasn't until I went to my first convention, like I think it was Dragon Con was my first one.
Dragon Con.
Which is so cool. It's in Atlanta and it's a big convention. It's all science fiction, and so we walked into this room and there was like 10,000 people all cheering, and me, Grant, and Tori were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
People watch our show.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, you must get recognized all over, right?
Mostly like hardware stores, generally. I spend a lot of time in hardware stores. It's my happy place.
Oh my God.
It really is.
That is amazing. Okay, next question. Speaking of Tori and Grant,
Yeah.
Chance in Kent, Washington
Uh-huh.
would like to know any plans for a new show with Tori and Grant?
We are constantly pitching science shows and, you know, working together. We did a live tour recently where we went around kind of reenacting stuff from White Rabbit Project, which was a Netflix show we did recently. And we really liked doing that. I love working with those guys. They're my buddies. So I'm hoping...
They really are. Like, that. I think that's a question you get a lot, right? Like, are you actually friends with them?
Yeah, I mean, Tori still lives in San Francisco, so I meet him for lunch
We ran into him
Yeah.
when we went out to lunch, one of our meeting times. And yeah, he was just leaving as we were coming.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see him all the time. Grant's moved to LA, so I don't see him quite as often.
Cool.
But
Well,
Jamie and I have lunch too.
yeah,
I still see him a bunch.
that's awesome. All right. So we're going to get into it. Brian from Satsuma, Alabama
What does this mean? What are we getting into
wants to know,
Yeah.
have you ever hit a point in your life where it felt like it was completely falling apart? If so, how old were you and what did you do to dig yourself out of that hole?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Of course, I feel like everybody has. I mean, it's the peaks and valleys of a messy life. I'm a real person. I think right before Mythbusters, I was completely lost trying to figure out what my career was going to be. I had a million jobs. I was just, you know, broke in San Francisco trying to figure it out. And I decided that I was going to do things that scared me. So how I got into Mythbusters was that I always wanted to figure out how I could be a sculptor, but actually not be a starving artist because I really like food. So I heard about Jamie's shop, and I heard that he gave a lot of people jobs, and you could get an internship there maybe. So I put together a really terrible portfolio and presented it to him and watched him as he went through each page completely unimpressed until he just got to the last page and was like, maybe we could do something with that.
Yeah.
And for me, it was this terrifying, scary experience. So I feel like every time I've had to dig myself out of a low point, I have just thought of the grandest, scariest move and reached out to somebody and just went for it even though I was terrified. And it's created opportunities that are unbelievable. It's funny how you just call somebody for a coffee date that might be in an industry you're interested in, and it could lead to your next career.
And here you are.
And here I am.
What was one of your worst jobs before you got on Mythbusters?
I served
Hillary from San Francisco.
You want to know that?
Yes.
I served 3-day notices for a while because it was a really lucrative job where I would drive, you know, to somebody's house and hand them a notice that you either have to pay your mortgage or rent or get out. But it was a 3-day notice, and it was scary because I went to some crazy places. It was mostly, I think it was mostly rich communities where they
were like evading.
No, I feel like that I was there, hey, it's time to pay your rent or mortgage kind of moment. Like it was, they're like, oh,
So
okay.
just send friendly Kari Byron
I got chased once or twice for that one.
Wow.
That was
All right.
I hated that job.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
I don't know if I put that in the book. Did I tell you about
You
that one? I
didn't.
didn't.
No, you know what you put in the book was the shot
Sampling.
sampling.
Oh, that was a good job. That was
Yeah.
amazing. I got paid really well to give free drinks to people. I mean, that is a great job for a girl in her 20s.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No pun intended, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Sydney in Greentown, Indiana would like to know, I am a middle school STEM teacher in Indiana. Do you have any pointers on how to get my middle school female students more engaged and confident with science and engineering? I like that addition, not just engaged, but confident.
Well, yeah, I feel like there's, girls and boys definitely learn differently, and I've talked to a lot of teachers, and I've definitely done a lot of reading on this, and I'm by no means an expert, but I think that girls definitely get shook because our brains develop differently. We develop communication and speaking faster, whereas boys definitely have they develop a confidence with spatial faster. So girls often quickly go, oh, boys are better at it, and then pull back.
Right.
With the confidence, I feel like you kind of have to be very careful and enthusiastic and help them with that confidence. Get them to raise their hand more often. And I mean, for me, it helped when I had a teacher who was very passionate themselves. And instead of just necessarily calling on the people that raised their hand right away, engaged with the scared ones. And because once you answer a question right, you get a little bit of a confidence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am not a teacher, and I
Hats
really
off.
I give it up to them because it is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just knowing that every kid is different. It might not even be an issue of girl students versus boy students, but just, different personalities, right? And
Well, this conversation we've been having a lot within the communities. I've done a lot of talks and panels about this, and one thing I found very interesting was how cool the internet is, because maybe you're the one girl who's a math genius, but you're too scared to get out there. But if you get online, you can find other girls just like you and create a community that gives you that confidence.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of girls and women, they like to be prepared before they do something. They like to do their homework. They like to, go into something knowing that they have the tools. And I feel like you are a very good role model of just dive right in and see what happens, right?
Well, I feel like that we always said failure is always an option.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing up, I was always very scared of failure because you don't want to look like a fool. But that's how you really actually learn things.
Right. And it makes for good TV, right?
Always. Always.
Okay, I don't understand this.
Okay.
Bo from Austin, Texas says, do pig rockets taste like bacon?
They smell like bacon.
What are pig rockets?
I don't know if I call it a pig rocket, but we definitely did a Confederate rocket. We're using salami as a fuel. But mostly it smells like farts.
So it's like an explosive.
Yeah,
How is salami?
It was just.
It's not like a combustible.
It was just. It was burning. It was a burning. It was. I used a long time ago, but I think it smelled not like bacon. I felt like it smelled like just like burning flesh a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like not a good smell.
Not delicious.
No.
Yeah, Bo is in Austin. There's like a lot better meat smells going on there
right?
than pig rockets.
Yeah, that was a funny story because that was we had in our shop we had this. It was a container that we were using. As a blast chamber, and it was inside of our warehouse shop, which was out in a part of town where when explosions happen, it's not that big a deal because it's a little rough in that neighborhood, so we didn't have to worry about it. But somebody from OSHA was watching the show and pinpointed exactly where we were and came in and just berated us, so we had to move our blast chamber to someplace besides indoors.
Oh, man.
Well, we didn't know what we were doing, it was the Wild West at that point. We were just trying to be as safe as we could be.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, reality TV was, in its infancy, right?
Well, that's why we ended up being called nonfiction, because reality TV is generally scripted, whereas Mythbusters, we were just doing things and reacting.
Yes.
at the time. The only thing that had any scripting is the blueprint room. We definitely had some scripting.
What's the blueprint room?
So that's where in between we had to have something that connected the myths together, so we would explain the math or the consequence or the questions, and so those
Give
were,
context to each. Yeah.
They were slightly scripted because we were a startup and we had one camera, so we'd have to have the conversation 3 times so he could get it from 3 different angles.
Aww.
Yeah. It's definitely a skeleton crew.
We have one camera right now. It's like we've come full circle.
So that camera's
From
tiny. Ours were
nonfiction
huge.
TV to nonfiction books.
Nonfiction books.
Wow. So Bernard Kent in Lula, Georgia says, was there any myth you wanted to explore but didn't get to on Mythbusters?
Yeah, we had a couple. One of them was that an F1 race car had enough downforce that you could drive it upside down on a helical track, and we just couldn't. I mean, those cars are like $1 million, and we just couldn't get anybody to let us use one until the show got canceled. So
would someone have been driving it? Like, would you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you guys have stunt people?
I think I feel like Tori would have done that one. He would have done it.
Okay.
He's a better driver than I am.
Okay. What are you better at?
What am I better at than him? I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Wow.
I'm better at making sourdough bread.
Ooh.
I'm really good at that.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
That counts. Dan from Maumee, Ohio, asks, Kari, I'm curious what kind of music you enjoy. Any favorite genres or bands or singers?
I have a big range. I mean, I was a big fan of metal when I was in high school, and I loved grunge, and currently I'm listening to a lot of 60s French pop just because I find it sort of upbeat.
It's got a nice little vibe to it.
Yeah, but
that's a good one. Like you're making sourdough.
Or you're building in the shop. There was a time where I was really into electronic music. I definitely went through that in the late '90s, and I don't know, favorites currently.
What did you listen to music while you were writing the book? Like what did that look like when you were writing?
No, nothing interesting like that. I find writing very stressful and hard.
So you were just like focused.
Just like dark room, laptop, sweatpants, not hot.
At home. Yeah.
Maybe in my studio.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh,
Bless you.
Just a girl sneeze, for goodness.
Gesundheit. Okay. So let's see here.
I think the questions can get better now. We got some wine, so go on. What you got?
Exactly. Ooh, I like this one. Susan from Chesapeake, Virginia wants to know, what would you tell your 11-year-old self if you could travel back in time?
It's gonna be okay. I was so freakishly shy, and I had zero confidence, and I could barely talk to other kids. I was just like really, really grossly insecure. If I could just say, you're gonna grow up and be just fine. You're gonna have a lot of friends. It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
So I could have.
You're gonna have like hundreds of books to sign while streaming on Facebook.
That would have terrified me at 11. And also, I'd been like, what's Facebook?
What is Facebook? Yeah. Well, let's take a sidetrack and take a phone call from a fan.
Okay.
You into it?
Sure.
All right.
We're going to call them at their house?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, right? So I have Brianna from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Good. That was good.
Whew, on the line.
Brianna?
Let's take it.
Or was it on speaker?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Hi, Brianna. It's Kari. Nice to meet you.
So I was...
Hello?
Hello, sorry, I lost you a bit there.
No worries. Yeah, I have Kari here. We're so excited to talk to you.
Awesome, me too.
So, what do you do? Who are you? Tell us stuff.
Well, I am an entrepreneur, and so that kind of is the reason that I asked my question about failure.
Oh, okay.
So, what was your question about failure?
So what I found being an entrepreneur is that you have to be really open to failure. You always have to be embracing failure at all times. But what I find is it's very challenging for me to convince my girlfriends of the value of trying things that you sometimes fail at. So what is your advice for how can I convince my girlfriends that it's okay to fail?
I guess just anecdotally, because I know that at least on when any of our science shows, things have gone horribly wrong, and it's something that we learn from. I bought books for my kid. I bought her like Rosie Revere, Engineer, and all these books that kind of teach you that every time you fail, you learn from it. I think we taught when we were girls that we have to be perfect. So it's I mean, I think it's something that's ingrained in us for sure. Mm-hmm. But hey, I mean, I've failed at a lot of jobs, and it's just helped me figure out what I did or did not want to do. I apparently do not want to work in advertising. I definitely, I don't want to pass out flyers ever again or stuff envelopes. I've definitely had a few companies that didn't work out. When I was younger, I tried to create a company that made barbed wire that was soft and wearable as jewelry, and it was horrible, and the plastics that I was using melted in the sun. So I learned a lot about the tech of that. I also learned I don't want to be in that business.
Yeah, you live and learn.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
good for you for, being brave and, trying to inspire your girlfriends. I say
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
maybe, get them a glass of wine.
Wait, how old are your girlfriends?
I will, absolutely.
Yeah, if they're of age.
Nice to meet you, Brianna.
Thanks for calling.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye. All right. That's fun.
I can't convince my girlfriends of anything either. So.
Speaking of girlfriends, being out, good food, Michael from Austin, Texas.
No, I
again.
thought you were going to buy me dinner.
Later, right after this.
Okay.
What would your last meal be?
Okay, I've actually thought of this. I'm kind of a dark person, but it's very simple. I love bread from Tartine Bakery downtown and some Mount Tam Cowgirl Creamery cheese, because I'm not messing around with salads or nothing if it's my last meal. I want like carbs and cheese.
Yeah.
That would be, and then that's pretty much that. And then maybe something with Taco Bell sauce, because that's my one.
Ooh.
Yeah,
mild, fire.
Hot Taco Bell sauce. I keep either packets of Taco Bell sauce, Tabasco, or Cristal in my bag generally, like the little tiny bottles. It's a weird thing, but I just feel like there's not enough spice on anything I eat ever. I really like spice.
Right, yeah. I hear you.
What's your last meal?
Kind of similar. I feel like it would be like a bread and cheese with like lots of things to like dip in the bread. I want like olive oil. I want pesto. I want like a cheesy fondue situation.
We should never go to prison. This is just a sad last meal.
I know.
You know?
My mom used to tell me that they serve you bread and butter in prison, and I was like,
I'd be okay with
sounds
that.
great. Okay, next question. This is another one I honestly do not understand. So maybe this is an inside joke between you and Cheeto in Reno, Nevada.
Have I met Cheeto?
Cheeto?
I feel like I've met Cheeto in Reno.
They say, do you remember Calico's math class?
No,
We don't know what you're talking about, Cheeto.
I don't.
Okay, moving right along. You're doing good progress on this.
The signing? Well,
Yeah.
I luckily have a really nice short name, like 4 letters.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And
Yeah.
you've had practice. You've gone to Comic Cons. You have you know. So nowadays, most people probably don't ask for your address, or your address. That would be creepy. Your your autograph. They probably want a selfie, right?
We get both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've only asked one person in my entire life for their autograph. It was Willie Nelson, and I just didn't know what else.
Yes.
I didn't know what else to say to him. It was
Yeah.
it was a strange moment. I was like, sign this.
How did you meet Willie Nelson?
He was signing. My boss sent me over to get his album signed over at Tower Records, and so I stood in line for him for 2 hours.
Oh, it wasn't like a Mythbuster. He wasn't.
No, this is when I was young, and he was just adorable.
Oh my God.
I would love to meet him in real life again.
He's a HarperCollins author. Just saying.
It's just, if you could pull those strings, let me know.
I'll work on it. Speaking of HarperCollins, you can pre-order Kari's book at karibyronbook.com. Go there now. Send us some more questions. And, you know.
Got any more weird questions? What you got?
Yeah, let's.
Don't ask me what my favorite myth is. Find something really interesting.
Do you get that a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got a couple, but they change a lot.
Let's see here. I'm looking
Wine's
for the...
just starting to affect me. Are my cheeks turning red?
No, you've got
Okay.
like a healthy glow.
Healthy glow.
Ooh, okay. Oh my goodness. Well, Frank from Columbus, Ohio, he
Yep.
knows your backstory. How does one become a martini tester?
I, at the time, just worked for a spirits company, and they were introducing, it was Ciroc was coming new to the market, and so they needed me to go to bars and find out if the bartenders were making their martinis right, if, you know, they didn't want to misrepresent their brand, so I got to go surreptitiously into bars, order martini, ask if the bartender knew the knowledge about the vodka,
Yeah.
and, you know, taste them.
Right.
Such a terrible job, but
Right.
it was just through the distributor.
Do you think you could still kind of judge a proper martini?
Yeah, should we try?
Yeah.
Bring one on. I feel like I could do that.
Going across the street after this.
I'm more of a Scotch girl, though. I gotta tell you, vodka just doesn't have enough flavor for me. I like the romance and the history of Scotch. I'm just like, a really good Scotch is a real happy place for me.
Okay, I like it. Here's one. Anthony from Middleton or Middletown, sorry, Ohio. What is the one thing you regret doing on camera?
I regret so many things on camera. I regret vomiting directly into a camera. There have been some real strange makeup choices early on when I was still in like 90s raver mode, where I wore like blue glitter eyeshadow on camera.
It was the time.
When we switched to HD, I had no idea what that was going to do to
You can see every pore.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, that was a bad choice in sunscreen or lipstick. But you know what? I don't really regret anything, because it's anything that made me more human. I feel like just made me more relatable. So you can.
Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Nah.
Anthony in Yankton, South Dakota says, I am trying not to be creepy since I have had a crush on you since I first saw you on Mythbusters.
How long ago?
So, I will just ask you, what was your favorite vehicle to drive in either Mythbusters or White Rabbit Project?
No.
Nice save, Anthony. He was going in a certain direction, and then...
We got to drive a lot of really cool cars on all these shows.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the funnest, though, was we just had these Crown Royals all the time that we got to drive, and I
thought that was a drink.
It's
right?
It's
Crown Royal?
It's
Crown and Coke?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The old cop cars we got to drive, and I got to do stunt driving.
Yes.
And so I got to take a course in what to do if the car goes out of control. So I got to drive as fast as I could down the runway, and he's like, now spin and just wreck it and then try to bring the car back. So I learned how to do J-turns, and I learned how to do all this crazy stunt driving, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to say Lamborghini, but for some reason they never let me drive those.
Yeah. Well, but I feel like just like a old beater kind of.
It's funner to drive cars you don't care about when we get those free cars, which took a lot of work to fix up, because then you didn't care if you wrecked them.
Exactly. Yeah. Crash test.
Wrecked them, I barely knew them.
So Daniel in DeLand, Florida asks, what was the scariest moment that you had on Mythbusters?
On Mythbusters, the scariest moment we'd ever have is every now and then we would set off a big explosive. That the scariest moment was when it didn't actually go off. So there was one time we were out at this quarry lake where we had this big explosion happening underwater, and we were blowing up a fake shark. And we went 3, 2, 1, nothing. And that's the point where everybody's like, oh no, because somebody has to go out there and check.
Ooh.
So we give it a good amount of time, and then we send out the bomb tech who has all his fingers, because we know that he's they all have all their fingers. So we send him out, and we have to sit there and wait for him to report back whether
Scary.
it was a misfire or what's happening. So he has to go out on a boat and check the explosives, and the whole time we're just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So those would be the scariest moments, other than, that time we shot a cannonball into somebody's house, which is in the book. You can read about that.
Yes.
I'll just let you read about that one. So that gives you a teaser, so you can actually buy the book, so you can find out what really happened.
That was a daunting moment.
Dude, this job, I have had rockets land beside me, like giant rockets. I've had pumpkins hurled towards me where they, during Pumpkin Chunkin', where it's this event where they hurl pumpkins hundreds of feet in the air or shoot them out of air cannons. And if you hear the words heads up, that means that there's a gourd coming directly towards you, and you just have to make sure it doesn't hit you. I mean, it's terrifying.
It's another day in the life.
Cheating death on a regular on the Science Channel.
Amazing. Fact check. Hate to break it to you. It's Crown Victoria.
Sorry. Oh, goodness. Drinking.
Yes. Crown Victoria is the
Thank you.
Like old cop car
Yes.
model.
Oh my
Crown
gosh.
Royal
Bad on me.
is
You're
an
right.
alcohol.
You're right.
Yes.
Bad on me.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have started so early.
Uh,
Oh, by the way, I should throw this out here. This is actually not a kid's book.
yeah. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I plan on writing children's books, and I tried pitching one for a while, but you guys wouldn't publish one. So
Wasn't me.
it wasn't your choice. Okay. But so this is aimed toward an adult audience that maybe grew up watching Mythbusters and want to hear the details of being a grown woman. At some point, I will write a kids science book, and I will
Yeah.
do a lot of kids science shows, and I'm really a big advocate for STEM, and I'm a mom, but I'm not letting my daughter read this until she's grown.
Yeah, I mean, because you are putting yourself on the page here and talking about everything, right?
Talking about some subjects that are very personal, including sexuality and depression and being a woman on the show, and things that I feel like will be helpful to somebody who is already made it to the beginning of adulthood.
Yeah,
But this is not a kid's science book.
right.
I just want to flag that ahead of time, so if you're buying it for your 12-year-old, maybe read it first.
Yeah. You know, you can still be a role model for girls while keeping it real
Well, a
and
real person.
telling the truth in your book.
Yeah.
And honestly, I watched Mythbusters since the beginning, and you do have a lot of people who are not so young anymore, to be polite. But yeah, like you got your people who have been around and seen you since the blue eyeshadow days, and they're gonna get a lot out of this book, right? Like they're gonna hear not only behind the scenes Mythbusters stories and
A lot more than that. I mean,
secrets and stuff like that, but also just kind of
I'm an avid reader, and I read a lot of memoirs, and I don't like reading about perfect people that had it all figured out and tell me how to figure stuff out. I'm like, nah.
Right.
I like people who are a little bit messy and maybe had some adversity to overcome, and I hear how they figure it out, because that's something that I can relate to rather than
Right.
I don't want an Instagram filter life.
Yeah,
I want to see
exactly.
what you really look like with your makeup off.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised by a lot of the things that I read about in your book, and you haven't had this like.
And you're still talking to me.
Straight line. I'm still here.
I guess that's not so bad.
No, yeah. No, it's really cool. But yes, good point. This is not a YA book, but perhaps down the line.
YA,
Right?
that's like Harry Potter.
Is Harry Potter, time for Facebook to correct us. I feel like Harry Potter is middle grade, and
not.
then YA.
Like Hunger Games. It's YA.
Yes, it depends on like how old the protagonist is, and
Side note. Yeah.
let us know. I work in adult publishing. It's a different world. What can I say? So here's a question from Laura in Frederick, Maryland. And she wants to know, are you a little more hesitant to do certain dangerous experiments that you would do before, now that you are a mom? Will you encourage your daughter to pursue science and get dirty?
I've always been the person on set who double-checked the safety for sure, but I wouldn't say I did anything less risky. I'm still jumping off of buildings and out of airplanes and doing crazy things with every show that I've ever done, and I feel like I wanted to be a brave woman so that my daughter could look up to me and see me doing crazy things and help her realize that you can do these things. So I think I actually got braver after I had a daughter.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I had somebody else to answer to.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to see me jump out of an airplane. And no, mommy did it, so she could do it.
I like it. Let's play a game. You ready? Yeah.
Okay.
So, this game is called 22 Questions in 2 Minutes.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Whew.
Wait, should I stop signing? I should probably concentrate.
I don't know.
All of a sudden, I'm calling cars
you
the
do
wrong
it?
thing. I called Crown Royal.
Crown Royal. Just driving my Crown Royal. So, okay. 22 questions in 2 minutes.
All right.
They're going to be rapid fire.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. What we got?
Question 1. Where were you born?
Los Gatos, California.
Question 2. Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, yeah.
I'm reaching for the stars.
Okay. Question number 3. What was your first job?
Babysitting.
Question 4. What is your greatest accomplishment?
My daughter.
Yeah. Question 5. What is your biggest fear?
Tiny snakes in a bathtub.
That sounds like a
Very
nightmare.
specific, I
Yeah.
know.
Have you ever encountered that?
Yeah, when I was a child, I have a memory of somebody throwing a tiny snake into my bathtub when I was like 3.
God. Okay.
I lived in the mountains. People were crazy.
Rapid fire. Question number 6. Who makes you laugh the most?
Oh God, yeah. My best friend Brittany.
Okay. Question number 7. What is the one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Butter.
Question 8. What is your favorite adult beverage? Crown Victoria?
Scotch.
Scotch. Question number 9. Who is the most interesting person you met recently?
Morgan Freeman.
What?
He smells really good.
Oh my God.
It's so weird to sniff people when you hug them. Oh, I met Obama too. He was very interesting.
I've heard he smells really
He
good.
also smells really good. I sniff people when I hug them. Go on. This is getting weird.
Question number 10. What is your middle name?
Elizabeth.
Question 11. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve, hypocrisy.
Ooh, I like it. Question number 12. What is your favorite hobby?
Sculpting.
Question 13. What is your guilty pleasure?
Other than Taco Bell sauce, I like to take a surf mat out into the surf. It's not a surfboard. It's a inflatable raft they used to use in the 60s.
Oh my God. That's a guilty pleasure?
It's
Okay.
so goofy. People look at you
Moving-
like you're crazy.
Moving on. This one is just, hello. 14. Do you have any hidden talents? What hidden talent do you not have is my question.
I can do a peacock call.
Yes.
Or there's one that's really weird that sometimes they do call. It's like they call back when I do that. Just saying. Go on.
This is amazing.
There's a story there.
Question 15. What color is your toothbrush?
White.
Me too. Question 16. What is your worst habit?
Stammering and not answering questions correctly.
Question 17. What is your favorite thing to cook?
Bread.
Yes. Question 18. What is the last album you bought or streamed?
Pink Martini. Je ne veux pas travailler. Yeah, I was in Paris and I needed some theme music.
Yes. Question 19. What is the last gift you gave?
Soccer socks to a small child.
Question 20. What cause is dear to your heart?
I like Rocket Dog Rescue. I also like Oakland Children's Hospital.
Awesome. Question 21. Name anything on your bucket list.
I want to make toys
You can do it.
someday.
Question 22. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
Peru.
I have been and I loved it.
I know. I've been to a lot of places, but South America has always been something that's I gotta go.
Yes, you do.
I didn't do more.
All right. 22 questions
That's it?
in probably way longer than 2 minutes. But
I'm
we did
a
it.
talker. I'll explain
We
stuff.
did it. All right. How you doing?
Doing good.
Your hands were hanging in there?
I don't get hand cramps from signing my name.
You
That's-
work with, you're like making things, like you've got the hand muscles.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, you've been training.
And I don't try that hard when I write. I actually had my handwriting analyzed one time for an art show that we did, and apparently I have the handwriting of a serial killer.
Ooh, they just caught the Golden State Killer. It was like
That is
very
a grim
big news.
topic. You're gonna bring that up? That is so grim.
Okay, here's something lighter. Brian E. from Sellersburg, Indiana, asks, Kirk or Picard? Did I say that right?
I feel like that's it's Picard,
Yes.
but yeah, classic as well. Kirk. Oh, yeah, it's Picard though.
Okay.
Do you have an answer to that? What's you? Do you know who we're talking about?
Yes, I do.
Nerd check.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
I like those kinds of questions, though.
I
Like
love those
this or
kind of
that,
questions. Yeah. They're easier and less revealing.
They are. Like, just pizza or ice cream?
Pizza.
Pizza. Yeah, we've had pizza together.
Multiple times. I love
A
pizza.
lot.
So much pizza. I love pizza so much I invested in a pizza franchise.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Have you done much investment?
Here and there. I try to be smart with my money, but if there's something I'll really love, like, for instance, pizza.
Yeah. Put your money where your
Smell
mouth
it.
is.
Yeah, you
Oh
just
my
did
God.
that. That's why we're friends.
Oh boy. Okay, so this question came in from James in Rockville, Maryland, but it says Hannah, age 13, afterwards. So I think he's passing along Hannah's question.
Okay.
And she wants to know, what was your hardest day on Mythbusters?
Hardest day on Mythbusters. I think the day that right before I had to go on maternity leave, I was so sad to know that I was going to be gone and somebody else was going to be doing my awesome job, and I was also very
Who could replace you?
Well, Jessie Combs did for 3 months. It was so awesome to have a girl come in who was very competent and very cool, and she kept it warm for me.
Yeah.
Because I remember leaving and I was just like, I was super duper pregnant and I worked up until my due date. Like that day I was due, I was still working and I was huge. And I remember just like,
Right. You've got a lot of emotions going on.
I knew I wasn't coming back for a while. I mean, clearly I had some fun stuff to do because I had a child. But
Right.
I remember being very, very sad that day.
Yeah, I understand. Speaking of being sad, Thomas from McDonough, Georgia wants to know, what's a good cure for depression?
I go through depressions, and I know that all the things that you want to do are the things that are usually wrong for it. So I quit drinking. I get very healthy. I exercise, and I try to be around people. All things that you do not want to do when you're depressed. But I go through the steps that I can to get to that point. I find being around people and talking to people is very, very helpful. And I've had to work through depressions before, and I found sometimes faking it till it would actually help, because all the smiling would create some sort of endorphin release that would actually trigger a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
it gets your body going before your mind.
Well, as
right?
I know that, like, my job, I can't call in sick. I
Right.
have to work through migraines or the flu, because if I'm home, that's a whole crew of people that can't go to work either. And I felt a
Right.
huge responsibility to actually keep coming in. So I remember working, we were working on something with a jackhammer on a day that I had a really intense migraine.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I was crying, and I would go into our minivan, and I would just put dark things on my eyes and just like shake until the next time I had to get back up in front of the camera and go, I couldn't even see the camera because it would be pulsating, and I would just smile and try to keep talking.
Ugh. Well, you talk about depression in the book.
I do.
And yeah, you get real about it. That's a really good chapter. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite. Let's talk about the book cover, and like, can you tell me more about you walking away from explosions?
I mean, it just seemed on brand, didn't it?
Yes.
And cool people don't look back; they just keep walking.
I didn't know that.
You haven't seen movies ever? I should be wearing sunglasses. You guys wanted
Yeah.
people to recognize me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we needed to see you smiling. Yeah, what you guys can't see maybe is like there's like a nice little shiny kind of texture. There's a whole experience to this.
Oh my God,
book.
you are getting super book nerdy right now.
Well, that is what I do.
You're like, you can touch the cover.
You can touch the cover. Yeah, love this trim size.
Smells like a book.
You guys are going to love, like, there are photos in here of Kari in your younger days. There's photos of you and Tori and Grant on the red carpet. There are, like...
There's a selfie on a toilet in there that has a pretty good story.
I'm glad you said it. I wasn't going to say it, but... there are, like, these illustrations that Kari did.
Those are actually, they're very rough sketches out of old journals, because I have stacks of these old journals, and I would actually draw in them quite often. It's just easier to explain things that way for me.
Yeah, no, I love the drawings. There's just something on every page that is just cool, and this is a book unlike any other, and it's really reflective of how creative you are.
Well, thank you. I
Yes.
drew that on a road trip from LA to San Francisco when somebody else was driving, and I was bored out of my mind.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's a car drawing. Yeah.
So, what was the hardest part about this whole book process?
My God, editing is a pain in the butt. How do you do that for your whole job? You keep reading, like you read it over and over, and it feels like you can't even read the words anymore.
Yes.
I had to have a friend read it, so I'd be like, I can't even see it anymore. And so my friend read through it. She's like, this doesn't even make sense. What are you doing here? Like, oh, by the way, Hillary.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to maintain like a sense of kind of the whole big picture of the book, but you know.
But I never realized how hard it is to actually write a book. It seems like a somewhat collaborative process, because you have to have people tell you that, hey, there's about 90 pages there that suck, and you need to get rid of that. I need people like you.
But you were so great to work with, and so open, and so kind of just gung ho.
Well, I take advice from people who know what they're doing. That's kind of been my thing.
Well, and that's kind of like at Mythbusters, you bring in the bomb expert, you bring in the, I don't know. You must have worked
like
with
a rigging
so many different
expert,
experts.
or somebody who's writes papers about explosives underwater.
Right.
That's the thing with Mythbusters, is we're not experts, and we don't know what we're doing, and so we bring in people who do.
Yeah.
And that's how we learn.
Yeah. And it seems like there's a job for everybody out there, right?
It really is. I mean, some of the Civil War reenactors that knew every little intricate detail of how a Civil War cannon should work, that's a lifestyle.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
To meet such cool people.
Yeah. Well, time flies when you're signing books. We're kind of wrapping up. Again, you guys can pre-order the book at karibyronbook.com. It is on sale May 8th. We are so excited.
And if you actually do have questions for me, I'm pretty active on social media. I got Instagram, I got Twitter. I'll answer any questions you got.
She will.
I'll
yeah.
still do that going forward.
You're awesome.
Even if you don't buy my book. I mean, don't tell them that.
Right. I'm like,
She's like, shh.
you should probably buy it. Buy 2 or 3. What are you kind of most excited about now? You've done the book, and now it's going to go out into the world.
I'm a little nervous, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stories in there that are very personal, and I feel like I let my mom read it, and I let my sister read it, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you actually told people about that.
You put it all out there. Yeah.
So I'm feeling a little bit nervous. But
Yeah.
luckily, the people who have come up with me, the people who've watched Mythbusters or watched White Rabbit or Thrill Factor or anything, I feel like I've got a connection with my particular audience. They've always been very cool, and it's definitely a smart crowd, and
Yeah.
I feel like they'll forgive me.
Yeah. You
They'll
guys are
love
cool.
me. They'll love me either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more vulnerable you are, that's where people actually connect. You know,
Or this ruins my career, and I blame you. Either way.
Well, perfection is boring.
Maybe I could come be your intern.
Absolutely.
To have a job here.
Yeah. Just, I thought you didn't. Well, you don't like stuffing envelopes.
No. That's what you do here?
No, our interns do really cool things. They are not doing the typical coffee run or whatnot.
You don't make them clean the fridge when you have expired food and guts and stuff in there?
No, they're doing really cool research. They're reading submissions. Now I'm sign up for our intern program.
I one time had to ask an intern to clean out a human skull that was filled with noodles and Jell-O.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was a job.
Oh my God. Yeah, intern at Mythbusters or
Was-
any of the shows that you work on must
We're
be
pretty.
so gnarly.
Take this vomit bag for me. I have to talk.
Whew.
Right?
Oh my God. Wow.
It's not a good job.
Oh my God. Anything else you want to say to everybody out there?
Thanks. I don't know. This is a very humbling experience, this
Yeah.
whole thing, and I appreciate anybody who bought the book because it is. I feel like I'm putting sort of an exclamation point at a very long and strange career path. So, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll keep signing books, and I think there was one where I might have slightly misspelled my name, so that is a special book.
Ooh.
I got nervous. Some question went, I think there might be 2 eyes, so that's an anomaly book. That's not a real human skull. That one's plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I love plastic skulls. I've got a full skeleton in my studio.
Wow. What about real ones?
I don't have any full skeletons, but I've got a dog skull. And I've got a French bulldog skeleton.
And you have a French bulldog, don't
Not
you?
anymore. He died. But thanks for bringing that
Oh
up.
my God. Wow.
It was a year ago. I'm
It's
good.
been fun. Well, okay, yeah. Crash Test Girl.
I feel like I should ask you questions now.
You did. You did. And now we get to go have dinner.
Ooh, where are we going? No, I know. Actually, don't say that. That's
I know. A secret location. All right. Are we good? Camera people?
This is very
Producer?
live, this whole thing.
We're good. Thank you guys. Buy Crash Test Girl. You'll really enjoy it. Kari is so awesome. We answered a lot of them.
We did?
Yeah, there were some repeats. There were a lot of people who asked what your favorite myth was. That's the go-to question.
How do you encourage your daughter's scientific curiosity without forcing it on her? I like that one.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think you're enthusiastic and you are the best role model. I'm not their role model. You're their role model. They look to you first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well,
See, look, I don't even want to go. I want to keep going.
I know. Well, I mean, you're so close.
I know.
You can do it. I'm gonna move this
No, you can say
Okay.
goodbye. It's all right.
Okay.
I'm not going to make them suffer through this.
All right. Bye, guys. It's been real.